Alright, so I'm Ludovic Philippou, I'm the chap teaching private equity. So this course is about everything you need to know about private equity, whether you want to work in private equity or not. You may not know that you're going to be dealing with private equity guys in your life at one point, but chances are you will, because they're everywhere. They run a lot of companies. They are a big source of financing. They are all around, no matter what your business is. And so this course wants to tell you all aspects of that industry. The legal aspect, the accounting aspect, the asset management aspect, the strategy aspect. And so it's a very nice course also to apply all the things you've done in other courses. And the industry is very complex, and so it's very important to see this, like to take a course on this. Like you would have difficulties learning it by yourself. And even the people that usually work in private equity or know private equity benefit from the course because they seldom know all the aspects of the industry. They may be very good on the investment side, but not so good on investors' relationship and the like. So I encourage everyone to take this course, but just be careful that it is going to be challenging, it's going to be demanding, it's a very complex industry, it's going to go fast, and we have 8 times 3 hours to just completely understand a very complex industry, a very competitive one. Lots of people want to work in private equity, and so lots of people are really sharp on their knowledge of this industry. And my goal is to make any one of you able to impress in an interview, in a job interview for private equity. So there's usually 2 groups as a result of a strong demand for the course. It still is oversubscribed despite the 2 groups. The 2 groups is that one is an MBA group only, and the other one is a mix of MFE and Master in Law and Finance. Now some MBAs, if that works better for them, can sit in the other group and vice versa, but we try to have these groups formed that way. But you also need to block both sessions because there are some plenary sessions. So to be clear, one group goes on Thursday afternoon and then one group goes on Thursday evening. But when we have plenary sessions, we are on Thursday afternoon. So what it means is that even if you're in the evening group, you have to block your afternoon because we will have classes during the afternoon. So usually I think it's the MBA was scheduled in the evening and the MFE MLF in the afternoon, but it may be it's the opposite, the other way around. Just ask admin, or maybe it will be communicated later. I don't know. So I hope this is clear. Now, my slide here is showing you what we're gonna do. First, it's quite a generic title, but what it means is that we are going to go through a few case studies to understand a bit all the vocabulary, how it works, the key trend in the industry, and so that's the first session. Okay. Second session, we need to. So first we skip also because you go to the MBAT tournament. So week 2 there is no class, then it's week 3. And week 3, we learn how you value companies in a private equity context, but that works also, if you have a family firm or anything that is, you need to value a non-publicly traded asset. LBO modeling, most of you will have done that in the finance lab. We see how to do it slightly differently or maybe more deeply. We try here, this course in a sense is a bit more philosophical. We try to think hard about why things are done one way rather than another, and we try to give you the depth here. The finance lab is more to tell you how it is done in practice, and then here it's more like think hard, what does that mean to do it that way versus that way, and so in practice when you face situation ABC, how do you need to amend the methodology to be the sharpest in the room. Leverage finance is just about how you put you optimize capital structure. Again, that can be applied to anything other than private equity, but we see it in a private equity context. Then after 6 hours, that basically is it. You should know enough about all the vocabulary, how it works, how fun works, and so we put it in practice. And the way we put it in practice is by having role plays. So we have a role play whereby half of the students are banks, half of the students are fund managers, and they negotiate a debt package for a given deal. And you have a number of guest tutors who are senior practitioners who know that stuff and then sit in the room where you negotiate and then give you feedback, and that works really wonders. So, it's very hard to learn all this vocabulary and all these technicalities on like capital structure and term loan ABC and mezzanine and so on. Once you have to do it and you have to negotiate and fight with one another and you get the feedback from top practitioners, you walk out of that session, you just know how it works. And I can tell you that in interviews, previous students have impressed employers on this quite strongly. Then we have a short lecture on limited partnership agreements. So now it's more the investment side of private equity we are moving towards, and we look at contracts and with the investors and how fees are calculated and conflicts of interest, alignments of interest. So we talk about these sorts of things. Here I'm not sure the order will be exactly like that next year, but this was how it was last year. Then we have an investment banker telling you about deal making, about how you do due diligence, how you structure a deal, and so on in private equity or in private equity. Then we have usually Chris Woodhouse, who comes and he's a serial CEO in private equity, he's a star CEO, and he tells you about how it is to be a CEO of, being an executive in a private equity held business versus a publicly listed business. And so he tells you about, what is different about private equity and how that works on the executive side. Then we usually have Ed Matthias, one of the co-founders of Carlyle, one of the largest private equity fund in the world. Actually, they are the ones who raised the most money over the last 10 years. And he tells you about the life as a fund manager. What are the things that keep them awake at night? What is it, his view? How does he sell the industry? Why he thinks it's an amazing industry, etc. And then we put in practice the contract things by, again, a role play, same thing as the previous one. You fight, negotiate with one another, and then you get feedback. And then we have a session on how private equity has performed. What is the deal ready in there for investors? What are the key trends? How do investors in private equity funds feel at the moment? What is it they are trying to do, etc. So that's more the asset management aspect that will be there. And then on the week 9, we have a panel of experts that will discuss your group coursework. Your group coursework, you should not pay attention here to the complete LPA questions, etc. This was from last year. You will submit your group coursework like in week 6 or something like that, week 5 or week 6. And the group coursework consists in writing the pitch book for a private equity transaction. And so you have to think about the strategy, you have to think about the capital structure, the exit strategy, about how to value that company, etc. And we give you a real company, and usually in the panel of experts, the CEO or CFO of that company comes and discuss what they read in your coursework. So you want to look good. Okay. Then the individual piece of coursework is going to be a written exam on the things we did in class. So simple questions about all the things we covered in class, and to just check that, you came to class, you understood what we did in class, and you are ready to go and interview with any private equity player. That's it. I hope it was clear. Usually this course is oversubscribed, so you may want to bid a few points on it, only if you are very interested. And again, this is not an easy course. It's not meant to be easy. And so if you don't feel very strong about it, then just take something else. Cheers.